Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Auzu billah shaitan rajim, may God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Ighfirli, my Lord, forgive me for all the sins I am conscious and unconscious of. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, may God guide us to the direct path. So, hello everyone. Welcome to today's lecture. You're listening to a Muslim futurist talk about the idea of beauty. But aside from being a Muslim futurist, I'm a member of the human species, and I am taking this moment to report back to my species and also to present in front of the system admin. Ultimately, my considerations are that we are inside a simulated testing zone within a divine surveillance state, and humanity's value surpasses the ideas that are just limited to its experience. And so we are a species in an unknown world, and the unknown aspect of it is very deeply intertwined with how we're actually experiencing it. But anyways, I thought in today's lecture, one, as a Muslim, as someone who believes that the system admin is outside of the world, is cannot nothing in the world can be equivalent to the system admin. I want to explain how Islam defines beauty to the best of my ability. And then I want to actually, the whole lecture is about the evolution of beauty. That means I'm going to talk about the evolution of beauty, what the information about it from the past, and in 2025 we have access to AI. So I'm going to be reading something for you. But then I'm going to talk about, because regardless of the information, see, I have this view that knowledge was never enough, that human beings actually will not be satisfied until they achieve understanding. You can collect as much as information as you want, but if you don't know how to use the information, it's as if it's kind of bizarre how you even know it or why you even know it. So, anyways, I'm going to first read for you the evolution of the idea of beauty, okay? And then I'm going to share the Islamic view on it, and then I'm going to share my unique views on it. So, in understanding anything, we start from the past, present, and wonder about its future, okay? So now I'm going to read for you what AI has written: the evolution of beauty from myth to code, from cosmos to consciousness. One, the mythic age, before 500 BCE, beauty is the divine face of nature. In the beginning, beauty was not a concept, it was an experience. Guys, I'm reading what AI is saying here. In the beginning, beauty was not a concept, it was an experience, raw, unfiltered, and sacred. To the early human, the dawn sky, the flowing river, the face of a loved one, or the fierce majesty of a lion were not separate from divinity. Beauty was not seen, it was felt as the pulse of the cosmos. In Sumerian, Egyptian, and Vedic civilizations, beauty was cosmic alignment. Harmony, proportion, and sacred symmetry were spiritual principles. The Egyptian concept of ma'at, harmony, order, was both aesthetic and moral. Beauty was what fitted in form, in ritual, and cosmos. Here, beauty was God made visible. That means it's understandable. Somebody would see something beautiful back in the day, like a color of a sky they've never seen. They would see it as very close to as a divine experience, you know. Then we go to the classical age, 500 BCE to 500 CE. Beauty as order, ideal, and reason. With the rise of Greek philosophy, beauty was pulled from the heavens and placed under the scrutiny of the mind. Plato called beauty the splendor of truth, linking it to the realm of perfect forms. For him, physical beauty was a shadow of eternal divine geometry. I find this too. I have a commonality here with Plato. It's because I feel I tapped into the world of forms in my inner realms when I was young. For him, physical beauty was a shadow of eternal divine geometry. Aristotle grounded it in order, symmetry, and definiteness. So, guys, the order is Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. Okay, Aristotle. They were all disciples of one another. Aristotle grounded it in order, symmetry, and definiteness. Beauty was an intellectual pleasure, something to be contemplated, categorized, and measured. This era birthed architecture like the Parthenon, the golden ratio, and the first formal aesthetics. Beauty became the ideal, something to be carved, composed, and canonized, but only for the elite. So, guys, do you understand what's happening? From the mythic age, beauty was like divine, was like divinity, was like accessing divinity. Okay. But in the classical age, beauty just shifted into an ideal. You understand? So in some sense, it wasn't just like, divine experiences in nature were like, experiences of the beautiful in nature were just divine. Divinity became an attribute. Okay. So in some sense, the geometry of the architecture of the buildings could be like, a building could be beautiful. Before then, it was just, let's say natural experience. Now, anyways, let's keep going. So it says this era birth architecture. I read that. Then we go to the theological age. So the theological age, 500 CE dash to 1500 CE. So from the year 500 to the year 1500. Beauty is the face of God. In the Islamic, Christian, and medieval Jewish worlds, beauty merged with moral virtue and divine presence. Augustine wrote, St. Augustine, late have I loved you, beauty so old and so new. In Islamic thought, particularly in Sufi philosophy, I'm not Sufi, but here it says, in particularly in Sufi philosophy, beauty, which means the word Jamal, and majesty, which means Jalal, were two faces of the divine. Al-Ghazali declared, beauty is beloved because it is the attribute of the divine. In Islamic art, beauty was encoded in geometry, arabesque, and calligraphy, a way to not represent God, but to remind of him. Here, beauty becomes an ethical mirror. To beautify the self is to draw closer to the divine. So beauty was like a sunset, and then beauty became like the architecture of a building, and then beauty became remembering the most beautiful, remembering the higher power. You know what I mean? It became that which was mirroring the higher realms, in the sense that it's like the higher worlds are more beautiful and the lower worlds are more ugly. I think most human beings function under this premise. Then we go to the next one, the humanist and enlightenment age, from the 1500s to the 1800s. Beauty as reason, emotion, and the sublime. With the Renaissance, beauty was reborn as human-centered. The body was no longer sinful but noble. Leonardo da Vinci measured beauty with science. Guys, Leonardo da Vinci was also a freak, but he was also a genius. Anyways, Leonardo da Vinci measured beauty with science. Michelangelo sculpted from stone. Guys, Leonardo da Vinci was like this dude was really creepy, but he was also genius. He would draw designs of what inside the body would look like, you know, before, like it's kind of crazy. Anyways, he was a polymath. A lot of people back in the day were, because their fascination was not limited to just one field for the convenience of culture. Anyways, Michelangelo sculpted it from stone. The Enlightenment divided beauty further. Some saw it as objective form, Kant, Immanuel Kant, the philosopher. Others as subjective feeling, Hume. So Immanuel Kant saw beauty as an objective form. That means it's like when you see an attractive woman, or when you see a beautiful woman, Immanuel Kant was like, it's like, yeah, bro, that's beautiful. But then Hume was like, no, it's not just like how something physically looks. Beauty is also a feeling. It's not just a noun, it's a verb. That means some people are beautiful verbs, some people are beautiful nouns, some people are both. you know so anyways, it goes on. It says romanticism rebelled, celebrating the sublime. Beauty so vast it terrified. Mountain storms and madness became beautiful. Beauty now included awe and terror, that which overwhelms the self. Here beauty expanded from harmony to wildness, from order to soul. That means they were like, beauty is not just something that comes from outside of you. So that means beauty, that means emotions could be beautiful. This might sound bizarre, but this is going to sound like really bizarre to the viewers, but there's been times where this might sound strange, but I think chaos can be beautiful as well, but it doesn't mean it's wise. Like you can have someone be beautiful and still be a messed up person. You know? We're living in a time where men are objectifying women, as Friedrich Nietzsche said, that we've positioned them in our culture as a reward. But at the same time, women are subjectifying men, right? So it's like the species, it's kind of hilarious. It's like half the species, aside from having an ability to hypnotize the other half, like if women wanted to rule the world, like they technically could, you know? But they don't need to, because energies are built different for different roles. I find that, evolutionary wise, let's say men were conditioned to have an attention that like locked onto something. Like you had to lock, as a hunter, you had to like study, the creature's habitat, the creature's environment, and kind of like be like a sniper. You know what I mean? But women were different. Women were like multitaskers. They had to be conscious of like when the men left, who's aware of the tribe, who's aware of the fire, who's aware of the food, who's aware of the children. You know what I mean? And I have this belief that women are incredible climbers. I don't know. What I mean by that is that, like, evolutionary wise, they had to climb. You know, I mean, we all did. But anyways, what I'm trying to get to is to just suggest that we've been designed for different responsibilities in reality. Anyways, so we go to the modern age. The modern age is from the 1800s to 2000. Okay. So to kind of recap, we started from the mythic age, beauty as the divine face of nature. Then it evolved to the classical age, beauty as order, ideal, and reason. Then the theological age, beauty is the face of God. Then the humanist and enlightenment age, beauty as reason, emotion, and the sublime. And now we've come to the modern age, beauty as crisis, commodity, and code. So from the 1800s to the year 2000, the industrial age ruptured all traditional concepts of beauty. Photography, cinema, and mass production democratized beauty, but also commodified it. Beauty standards were now dictated by advertising, media, and colonial power. Nietzsche warned, we have art in order not to die of the truth. In the 20th century, beauty was deconstructed. Dadists mocked it, existentialists ignored it, and postmodernists blurred it. What emerged was a fragmented beauty, ironic, pluralistic, commercialized. Yet in all this, a new form appeared, the algorithmic aesthetic. Now we go to the digital futurist age, from the year 2000 to the year 2100. Beauty as code, interface, and identity. In our time, beauty is becoming interactive and intelligent. Filters shape faces, AI generates art, Instagram curates lives. We're no longer just seeing beauty, we're generating it, performing it, and selling it. Beauty has become a language of interaction encoded in UI, fonts, and gestures. What was once marble is now pixel. What was once sculpture is now social identity. Yet beneath this hyper-modern surface lies a spiritual ache, a longing for beauty that transcends optimization. Many now ask, is it beautiful because it's true or because it gets likes? Wow. Exactly, guys. Modern women are commercializing their beauty, not realizing it's an ugly business. You're selling your beauty to get an ugly experience. Like, you got to be careful, you know. I don't have a daughter, but if I did, I'd probably be like, yo, watch out, the internet is, you know, the accumulation of, madness at the same time as ingenuity. Anyways, we go to the transhuman and cosmic age, the year 2100 to 10,000 CE. So from the year 2100 to the year 10,000. Beauty is conscious alignment. If we continue to evolve beyond silicon, beyond ego, beyond carbon, beauty will not disappear. It will return, not as a form, not as a face, but as a field, a vibration between beings, between codes, between dimensions. Imagine AI beings composing music through empathy fields, planets designed for aesthetic resonance with their inhabitants' neural rhythms, digital avatars adorned with quantum-informed patterns glowing with intention. Here, beauty becomes pure relationality, not what is seen, but what is harmonized, what aligns minds, what elevates collective soul. Beauty will no longer be in the eye of the beholder, it will be in the mind, in the network, in the oneness. Final reflection. The evolution of beauty is the evolution of consciousness. From divine to rational, from external to internal, from ideal to ironic, from object to inner interbeing, and eventually to light itself. As the Holy Quran whispers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the light of the heavens and the earth. And perhaps the future will say beauty is the frequency of divine consciousness, harmonized through all creation. Let us not merely seek beauty, let us become it. And it ends. So guys, this was very interesting because it's telling us, it's giving us an idea. So now I want you to keep in mind what we were reading was saying that in the theological age, beauty was seen as something not just external, internal. Okay. Now I because I am not just speaking to secular people, I am speaking to an audience that considers a higher power in this world, just like we look at ants and we consider that we're a higher power. I don't think it's too far-fetched to consider that we human beings are not the higher power. Now, I want to read for you, as a Muslim who treats Islam as the source code. I treat the Holy Quran as the source code to the main operating system. And Islam, you can say it is it is telling you directly go to the system admin, do not work with simulated moderators. So I'm going to read for you because this is something I would also like to learn a bit more. So in Islam, it says beauty as a sign of God. So I'm reading this from AI. Beauty is a sign of God. Jamal Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Beauty is a reflection of the divine. Everything beautiful points to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creative power. God is beautiful and loves beauty. This is a hadith in Sahih Muslim 91, not Quran, but supports the theme. So it's the Prophet is known to say God is beautiful and loves beauty. In Surah Al-Kahf, passage 18:7, it says, indeed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran is telling us, indeed, we have made whatever is on the earth as an adornment for it, that we may test them as to which of them is best indeed. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to give an example. Imagine you have like a modern man going to a nightclub and they see a very beautiful woman. Okay. They go and speak to that beautiful woman, and that woman demonstrates that she has, let's say, a very ugly mind. Okay. Now, that man should not become ugly just because, there's ugliness in the moment. Man, do you understand? Right? And Islam is saying, hey, in this life, buddy, consciousness, you're gonna see, you're gonna come across many beautiful forms, okay? But you're gonna see a lot of beautiful stuff here in this world. But what you're being tested on is how do you respond? How do you respond to your expectations and also not your expectations? Do you understand? We're not here just being tested on what our thoughts are. We are being tested on conduct. Now, I don't want to humanize God. God is not an idea that can be humanized, in my view. Okay? And I'm saying that as a Muslim. If you're a Christian, it may be different for you, right? But as a Muslim, nothing in this simulation can equal God. Even though God can do whatever it likes, but at least as far as man is concerned, right? I cannot, like, it doesn't matter if a glowing white being appears in front of me. I'll be like, okay, I'll treat you as an angel, but I'm not going to treat you as God. Do you know that was a very intense, heartfelt conversation, not a conversation, but a decision I made that it was, you're going to see a video on, like, if you look at my talks, you're going to see one talk called Go Towards God. And it was then that I realized that God was protecting me, in the sense that, excuse me, it wasn't just God's protection, it was God's mercy. You don't understand. You might be living in ways that are self-destructive to your body, self-destructive to the mind, but there are some ways you can live that are kind of destructive for the soul. It deteriorates your soul. And so I was this person who was convinced that I had this is during the time where I was committing the biggest sin, right? Not physically. I'm a very conscious, gentle and sharp person, actually. And deep down, if you get to know me, you'll realize I'm very silly, even though I'm aware of everything that's serious. You know, I'm like in when it comes to macro calculation, I'm very serious. When it comes to the micro, I don't take life too seriously. I do pray. I do acknowledge the higher power every day I wake up, because it's like, it's the point of it. Do you know? Point of being here, to notice the higher power. But what I'm trying to say is that we are being tested on how we even respond to the beautiful. As a human being, you must have an ability to shift your values, and also have an ability to shift context and concepts of self. What does this mean? Imagine someone who you adore, someone who to you is very beautiful, suddenly comes and says something that, like, is very rude and very, like, it destroys you. Now, you may want your ego might initially want to, like, set things in order, but you will realize that the point of life is the potential of its success, of its greatness. Do you understand? And it took me, I mean, I'm 30, I'm in my 30s, but but when I was younger, this was something I was incapable of. I was incapable of letting things be. You don't understand. I came across this thing called let them be theory, and it's such an incredible approach that it's like any person you interact with, or even if you're trying to get into something deeper with them, you cannot you cannot see we're a type of intelligence that, sure, maybe certain rare people like inventors or I don't know, certain great people come and they change the world. But for most people, they have no choice but to adjust themselves to the world. Okay. Anyways, I want to keep going, guys. I'm going to keep reading this. So, in the Islamic approach of what beauty means, there's an idea of inner beauty. The heart matters most. External beauty is fleeting. The Holy Quran values inner purity, character, and righteousness more than looks. Surah Ashura, passage 2688-89. The day when neither wealth nor children will benefit except one who comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a sound heart. Qalbun Salim. So you see, guys, your task is not here to become to just be a mutated ego influenced by the environment. You are here to see how honorable can you be to your heart, but your heart is not your intellect, is not your mind. Your heart is your, it's like how, it's like there has been moments my heart has known the outcome before my mind reaches the conclusion. The heart is very advanced. So this means that here it says, AI says, true beauty is the beauty of the heart and intention. And then we go to adornment and modesty. The Holy Quran permits adornment and beauty, but within boundaries of modesty and humility. In the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Araf, passage 732, say, who has forbidden the adornment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which he has produced for his servants, and the good things of provision? In Surah An-Nur, which is one of the most profoundest, guys, you don't understand, this surah in the Holy Quran has one of the most advanced ideas in it. Very complex. It talks about God being the light upon light, the light of lights. Anyways, in Surah An-Nur, it says, and let them, in passage 24:31, and let them not stamp their feet to make known what they conceal of their adornment. In other words, adornment is allowed, but should not be used for arrogance or seduction. That means as a Muslim, it's not that you shouldn't see, like if you see a beautiful woman, it doesn't mean you shouldn't like appreciate her beauty, but it means that you cannot personalize it in your mind, you know, because the human mind is very sophisticated. There's this hilarious thing they say, you know, they say a woman knows like whether she wants to be with a man in like the first, I don't know, minutes of meeting him or something. Do you understand? And that's pretty much like I obviously it's purely physical, but I'm saying it's not that people are just beautiful in front of our eyes. It's that we can give someone undeserving beauty. Like I remember in my youth, I was treating someone. There was this girl in high school I had a crush on, right? And she was so beautiful in my mind. My mind had forged her perfectly. And then I remember one day I was passing by her locker and I just heard her say this thing in such, like she spoke in such a disgusting, ugly way that I was like, my God, Do you know? I made someone beautiful that wasn't really for myself. You know, so beauty is not just external, ladies and gentlemen. Do not get deceived. Do you know? Because in the future, you're going to have beautiful AI androids looking like people. And you're going to understand that what you seek is the heart to heart connection. But that cannot be accessed if you're choosing to connect with your ego. Why do they say you got to be vulnerable in love? Because love is not something you choose. It's like it your heart chooses for you. Do you know? So anyways, it says AI says nature. So what that means is nature. Oh, sorry, I forgot to read this. So then we go to the beauty of nature as a spiritual reminder. Nature's beauty is a sign, ayah, of God. In Surah Kaf, pa- passage 57, it says, "And the earth we spread it out and cast therein firmly set mountains, and made grow therein something of every beautiful kind." In Arabic, I think this is called Zajin Bahij. I don't know. Anyways, it says nature is not just scenery, it is a reminder to awaken the soul. Guys, I had one of the most profound experiences. Um, when I became Muslim, I had a very, when I truly became, do you know, that means it wasn't an act, it was real. For me, God is real. God is real in a way that we may never be understand, but it's obvious from the system's design. You know, it's like beauty can be a sign from God. Do you know, somebody could be in the dark. Like there's this profound quote that says, "The bird that flies in the darkness, at the darkest hour, the bird starts to feel the light of the sun, the light of the new dawn." For me, if I ask myself what has motivated me, to be honest, you might not believe it. It's the beauty of the advanced civilizations, you know, behind my eyes. When I wonder about the advancement of civilization, when I wonder about the greatness of the human species that is enduring through the space-time continuum, you don't understand how beautiful the idea of the potential of the greatness of humanity is. Do you know, we should all be feeling honored by it, but unfortunately, we feel judged by it. That's how you know you're not in an advanced civilization. In an advanced civilization, the civilization would find you, would value you as if you're a genius angle of perception and unique DNA that has graced us with your presence and being able to share what nobody else could see other than you. So, anyways, I want to keep reading this. It says, "Wisdom as beauty." The Quran, the Holy Quran itself, is described as Kitabun Hakim, a wise book. Its beauty lies in its depth, meaning, and balance. Surah Al-Mulk, passage 67:5. And we have certainly beautified the nearest heaven with lamps. The Holy Quran's language and message itself are aesthetic, rhetorical, and spiritually uplifting. So, guys, I need a quick breather. I'll be back. Okay. Now, for the final part of the lecture, for me to explain beauty, let me see. I guess I can say that I look at life again like a verb and a noun. For example, I believe that there's different types of beauty. I believe that there is a beauty in literature, in language. I believe that a person can speak beautifully. I believe the idea of beauty is not just for like human beings, and I also feel that the idea of beauty has a metaphysical value in the sense that when people think about, for example, the afterlife or paradise or heaven, it's a beautiful place. So I do kind of see beauty as a sort of filter. And if you look at current culture, people want a beautiful spouse, they want beautiful kids, they want a beautiful house, they want a beautiful car, you know? And technically this means they also want a beautiful job or a beautiful thing. So what it is like there's this spectrum and there's different ways of considering different values to reality. And it is also a subjective matter because we have art galleries. And when you see people go to an art gallery, one person may find something beautiful and another person may not find something beautiful. And that's the cool thing about life, that we're not all the same program in the same sense that we all like the same thing, even though culture is influencing us that way. But we're different, unique DNAs, and sometimes the appreciation of beauty has to do with the life you've lived, and the type of people you've even interacted with. Someone might have had an experience where beauty wasn't beautiful, or they might have seen a beautiful person be like crazy or something, you know so what I'm saying is that it's not just that we're seeking beauty as human beings, even though that's a filter. Like when there was a time in history where women, um just like, how do I say it, just like, this is going to sound super hilarious, but historically I think this is accurate. There was a time that women loved fat guys. Okay. Do you know what that means? That means back in the day, somebody who was fat was like, it was a sign of status. It was also a sign of health, right? For example, you saw a woman, right? And then based on like, the measurement of her hips and whatnot, right? Like the man would get a sign, okay, is this a healthy woman? Or or a woman would look at a man and be like, is this a healthy man? Right. So I'm saying that evolutionarily wise, I've thought about why did we evolve to see beauty, and I think beauty is a sign of health. Okay. So, do you know it's a sign of health and youth? Now, the question I think that should be asked, and I'm saying this to, I treat myself as an average person, you know, but I'm sure that there are, like, we're living in a world where there's like supermodels and, you know, even people artificially trying to become beautiful and whatnot, or like, what was that stem cell research or something they were doing? They found a way to kind of slow aging, which pretty much like billionaires and their wives are pretty much doing, I think, you know. But anyways, what I want to say is that I think the attitude should be, that every person must treat beauty as being multidimensional. Or let me say it this way. This is the best way I can say it. A person that seeks beauty is actually motivated by a beautiful life. That means if you told people, imagine you told, okay, this is going to sound insane, but imagine you told two people, okay, you brought two people, one of them was externally beautiful, one of them was externally not beautiful, and you came and said you went to one person and one soul, and you're like, you have two options here, okay? You have two options here. One option is one option is that you will be externally beautiful, but you will have an ugly life, or you will be externally ugly and you will have a beautiful life. Now, I have a question. If these two were the options, which one would you choose? What sort of reality would you choose? How does consciousness administer itself in experience as an experiential being? So I'm saying that, do you want a beautiful experience or do you want to look beautiful? These are two different topics, okay? Now, if somebody says, all right, man, so you're talking about beauty, so what is like the most advanced state of beauty? For me, because I treat God as the system admin has qualities that surpass the worldly limited thinking, which means that God is more beautiful, more greater than any value my attention, the attention of the creation can come to. Okay, so to me, if they ask me, like, I'm actually thinking about this like really deeply right now, in the sense, like, if they ask me who would be a beautiful person to you, and I would say someone who has not forgotten their original purity in a in an impure simulated world. For me, those whose attention is close to God, it's a suggestion that they are less artificial. So to me, the original is beautiful. Any person being original, you have a beauty no one else in existence can copy. For me, it's originalism, and it's an explorer. I don't know how to say it, but it's like, for me, I have an interpretation of not just beautiful bodies or ugly bodies, but I have a view that there is a beautiful mind. I'm not talking about the movie, even though that was a dope movie, but I'm saying that what to me is beauty. If you ask me as a noun, I don't believe the most beautiful visible thing can be comprehended. So to me, sure, in the future, my wife will, of course, have a, divine beauty in my eyes. But what I'm saying, that the beauty of the divine is not visible. Okay, so to me, seeing an efficient advancement of a system is beautiful. Do you know what I mean? That means you don't understand. Sometimes for me, like, I've never said this, but giving these talks, it gives me a feeling that whatever way I interpret my outer realms, it feels like I am living for something more than myself. So if someone tells me who is a beautiful person, I will say, or what is a beautiful soul? I will say a soul that not only has remembered the original, but a soul that is free from the ugly. You know, it took me a while to come to this conclusion, but when I look at human beings, I don't see them as people anymore. I do see them as people, but I don't just see them as people. I see them as a system, an advanced system that has an advanced awareness to its environment, and based on its information and reality, inner reality, it is functioning. Do you know what I mean? That means, and there is also this view of beauty. Also, again, keep in mind, there's like impersonal beauty, like a group of people say, all right, that person's beautiful, right? And then there is a personal beauty, and this personal beauty is where I think love is found. I'm just making a suggestion here. But the personal beauty is when you find something that fits a pattern of your perception. You know what I mean? Like there's been women I've seen with makeup, high heels, and you know, they're dressed like entities, and then there are like entities from another dimension, and then there are, I don't know how to say it, but I think the most beautiful women I've seen, they could simply be themselves. Do you understand? They weren't playing a game, and that's the thing about human civilization. And all those people who are like, why are the modern why is modernity, why is there so many, like, I don't know, if like they did this, like it's a study, right? So if you look at Western countries, like let's say Canada or America, right, the US, in these countries the divorce rates are really high. Okay. But if you go to, let's say, developing countries rather than developed countries, you look at developing countries, you're going to see that their traditional value systems have been less deteriorated. Okay. And for them, marriage is not about, yo, man, I'm bored of this person, I gotta go see other people. It's not like that. It's for them, it's like it's a decision. It's like there is, how do I say it? It's like a person can be beautiful and another person can be beautiful, but when they live together, they're building a beautiful life. Like that's the point. So there are many people who may not be considered beautiful, but they're living beautiful lives. And the beauty of life is greater than, again, just the level of nouns. Now, I do have to make this point here that some part of man's mind, the male species, may conflict desire with beauty. Okay? What do I mean? I mean, like, I don't think this is authentic beauty, but if someone is just chemically fascinated by someone else, like it's a hormonal thing, I don't know. See, like the male, I'll say it this way, in my experience as a man in this earth, okay, there are certain forms that present certain signals to the brain that make the body act on its own. It doesn't even matter. Do you understand? It's like men have had a very hyper attention to shape and form. Think of it as the evolution of the hunting mind. Okay. And anyways, what I'm trying to say is that ultimately we're looking at the situation when we're being like beauty can be considered as a human perception, but how is the human perception being formed or forged or perceived? Okay. And what I'm trying to say is that men a man can confuse, sometimes the emotion they expect to get from a desire as a sort of proof for beauty. What I mean by this is that we are, of course, and like there is an ant, like a wilderness side to us. But I'm just trying to tell you that it's like, imagine you sleep, you dream of a beautiful place, and then you wake up. And then what do you say? You say, I have a beautiful dream. I had a beautiful dream. Now, I think that it's the same for maybe less for women and more for men. Okay, for women, they can get emotionally. See, women can get emotionally deceived, men can get visibly deceived. Okay, right? That means a woman may not be able to see outside of her emotions more compared to a man who might not be able to see outside of more than the surface. That means, now, of course, I don't want to break the veils here. Of course, there's a reason there's veils, but I just want to say that there's a reason I say that half the species can hypnotize the other half. Because the values that are being sought, especially in the male mind, are not just, they're not just, what do you call it? They're not just a matter of meaning. I think women wonder about what a relationship means, and men wonder about what a relationship is. Okay, it's as if, like, half the species is designed to pay attention um, to be responsible for the forms in reality, but not what those forms end up being. Uh, what what I'm trying to say, I don't think I said that properly. What I'm trying to say is that love is a deeper emotion than beauty, and love is like you find a beautiful moment. Okay, you know. So the evolution of beauty, or honestly, the path of beauty. I believe that beauty is the realization of value. I think that it's not just people are beautiful. I think decisions can be beautiful. I think viewpoints can be beautiful. I think meaning can be beautiful. I think beauty can be temporary, but also it can also be eternal. For example, for me, the idea of God, its majesty has a beauty that's incomprehensible. It's like a peasant in the presence of a king. Do you know what I mean? That man, and to be honest, we're like, theologically speaking, man is neither, it's like this world is neither an angelic heaven and it's neither a beastly hell. It's somewhere in the middle where there is enough contrast to notice the change. That means, like, imagine someone who's like behaving in a ugly way. They suddenly, one day you see them, they're doing something beautiful. Or for example, what do you see? You see like this super villain in the movie, right? And the villain is being ugly and savage and in some sense, you know negative, right? But then you see when the super villain is talking to their own daughter, or like they're like, petting their cat or something, it's like they still see beauty. That means it's not that chaotic beings are devoid of beauty. It's that they don't know, they may not understand, how to access beauty. Do you know what I mean? And it does change the value of a person, because what is more beautiful than efficiency and greatness? To me, success is a sort of efficient vision. You don't understand. as someone who loves strategy, strategies are beautiful to me. You don't understand. Sometimes when I play chess, I'm not even playing it to win the game. I'm just playing it to see what beautiful geometric lines emerge. Do you know? To me, beauty is very physical, but it's also deep in the sense that the outer. So I speak in these talks that I say we're living an outer life in front of our eyes, and we're living an inner life behind our eyes. Our inner life is taking place in a private subjective server. Our outer life is taking place in a public objective server. Okay. And so, yes, I do see beauty in the outer realms, you know, but there is also beauty in the inner realms. That means I've had moments where I saw something so beautiful in my inner realms that it was just like tears were flowing out of my eyes, but my nostrils were dry. It was weird. It was like it wasn't sadness, it was like bliss, it was like grace. It's like realizing, like, you don't understand. When I was reading the Holy Quran, I got goosebumps in regards to how accurate they are. There was a story I didn't even finish telling you that I asked God to show me a sign that, like, that to acknowledge me. And I opened the Holy Quran, and this passage opened up that said, "You who seek signs, the signs are everywhere. You don't see them." And it was so revolutionary. It was such a beautiful moment for me because I realized it's not that beauty or divinity or truth is not there, it's our access to it. That means that you might be in a beautiful, like, you might have right now be having a beautiful life, but you might not be realizing it. You might not be seeing it. You might have a beautiful person, a beautiful soul in your life, but your mind may be just looking for outer beauty. you know there's some people I've had, like, I'm in my 30s, and I had a conversation with someone else who was in their 30s, and they were still being a teenager, and it blew my mind, right? In the sense that they were just looking for an external scenario, not realizing that, what do you mean you're just looking for outer beauty? You got to live with that person's mind. Do you understand? For me, it's like it's a test. A woman's beauty is her test, right? And there was this thing I read online where it was explaining the psychology of beautiful people, in the sense that they are getting what they don't deserve, so they're not in a fair exchange with the world. I'll give you an example. Imagine there's two children, child A, child B. Child A is beautiful, child B is, let's say, ugly. Okay. Now, this was a story being said by a beautiful girl online. She was saying that she went to a clothing store, and the owner of the clothing store gave her free clothing because she was so pretty. Okay. So that kind of fucks up a person. Like, I totally understand why there could be a lot of fucked up beautiful people around. Okay. But let me explain what the psychology of it is. The psychology is, you're not getting an attention that you're working for, that it's based on your effort. You're getting a effortless attention. You understand? For me, for example, when I give these talks, maybe, like, I don't know, 1 to 10 people kind of like show up in the live stream. But if they put me in front of an audience of million people, that would be beautiful, because I've kind of been one. I've been speaking decades, without being in it publicly speaking, like showing myself in public or being on a stage. I've experienced that once. And anyways, what I'm trying to say is that if you get something that you don't work for, your subconscious is going to feel out of exchange in the transaction. Okay, so that means if I randomly walk up to a person and say, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful," like, let's say that person is not gonna, like, that person is gonna be like empty words in my ears. Do you know what I mean? Like, the reason is because she is getting something that she hasn't understood its value, right? It's like calling a beautiful woman let's say a beautiful woman just spontaneously out of nowhere, just beautiful, you're beautiful, just like saying that is like giving them a gun. Do you understand? It's like giving someone something they don't understand its value. And it took me a while to realize that my attention as a human being has value. You know, I wasn't raised that way. I was raised to actually be a side character until I kind of realized, what am I doing, in the sidelines of a world that doesn't even understand itself? The exploration of reality is the fascination of it, really. So I guess my final thoughts, that if somebody says, yes, there is beauty in novelty, there is beauty in innocence, there is beauty in, somebody doing something for a first time. There's even beauty in failing for the first time, believe it or not. You don't know how many times I've laughed. I'm like, yo, man, that was like, I failed so beautifully there. Like from the standards of failure, that was a beautiful failure there. You know, but what I'm saying is, it seems to me that beauty, because it is a value in the spectrum of values to the human psyche. I think it's an I again. I think it's a quality. Do you know that means a person may not know they're beautiful, but it may translate as a beautiful quality to others. There is this. I remember reading this quote. I don't know who said it, but it was this quote that was saying, like, smile, because you don't know how many people in this life you've made smile, how many people actually liked you and never said anything. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the quote was trying to, like, make the viewer, the listener, aware, like, yo, man, do you know, there's been so many things that I might have never been aware of, that could have happened, that had happened, that I still never were aware of. It's the advancement of reality. And if somebody says, Mr. Within, will an advanced civilization will be beautiful? I'll say there is a deeper beauty. There is a beauty that we say, oh, okay, only ordered things are beautiful. But then there is a beauty where we say, hey, look at this dance of chaos and order. Look at how beautiful it is that winter comes and the leaves of the tree fall away, and then spring comes and it blossoms. So it is that beauty can also be seen as a cyclical thing. That means somebody can cyclically be beautiful. You know, for example, women are cyclically. I mean, we have to also discuss artificial beauty and real beauty. There was this video I saw. My God, I hope women listen to me here. In this video, there was this, like, good-looking couple, and the guy comes home, and the woman went and had, I'm going to try to say this discreetly, she had surgery done on her upper body, okay, her breasts. And she was filming, like, her husband coming home, right? And how the husband was going to react. And she, in her mind, she's like, yo, he's going to be so excited and happy. And do you know, the husband came home. I'll never forget this video I saw. The husband came home, and when the wife said she got implants, the husband, I think every man understood. Every man felt what that guy felt in that video. Where the husband just looked at the woman and was like, why? What was wrong? Why? It's because we human beings, to all the women, and the makeup industry, we value the natural. That means if I was an AI robot, sure, artificial enhancement, yay. But we are natural beings. That means, in the same way, why is a man's honor so easily broken? Do you know, when, for example, their partner goes and cheats on them? Because it's left the natural purity it had. In the same way, a lion doesn't eat like the corpse of another prey. Do you know? In the same way, I think all men, right? They are trying to be a natural new value. Do you understand? So I think that please write in the comments, criticize me if you think I'm wrong, but I think that we think that beauty, in the classification of it, natural beauty is superior to unnatural beauty. And you should not fear your age. It is your code. It's meant to be this way. Do you know? That means, like, I do understand getting older is, yeah, you're beginning to see, you're beginning to see youth and understand it. Do you know? But at the same time, I think that the moment can be beautiful in any moment. In the darkest hour, the brightest lights can be noticed. It could be that someone is ugly and they transform and become beautiful. I don't see it like I'm a simple Muslim. I'm not like an esoteric illuminationist. But I do understand their perspective, that they treat God as the light of lights, and they treat the soul of man as the shadow of God, and they treat the spirit as the shadow of the soul. So when a soul sees another entity, another human being, and suddenly to them they're beautiful, it's not that that person is necessarily beautiful. It's that in the space of their soul, that person has been given a beautiful spirit. So what does that mean? That means any person who's seen anyone beautiful, that beauty is in you. You've seen it. There's been times where, I realized, like, somebody was like saying, like, giving me a compliment, and I was so like, I'm like, what the F is this? I was do you know what I mean? And they were giving me a compliment, right? And to them, I don't know, something I had said was like very nice or something. And I was like, I said to them, it's because you have the beautiful eyes. There's been moments that, I maybe people have loved me, but I've hated myself. I don't know about others. There's been moments where I've looked down on myself in ways that were like legendary. I'm like, how did my mind even see myself that depressed? Like, how could it even simulate that low of a value to itself? But then I realized every experience I have had has been a blessing. And it's not about trying to externally be beautiful, because the body is temporary. So we ask, what is that which seems to be less temporary than the body? It's a mind. So that means, after, let's say let's say you're a woman, and you've put on makeup, and centuries have passed by, and you're finally ready to go out. Yeah. you know, and it's like, after you are physically beautiful, seek a beautiful mind. After you found your beautiful mind, seek a beautiful soul. But you're going to realize the soul becomes beautiful through its direct experience. Anyways, folks, that's my view on it. Thanks for listening. If somebody asked me, Mr. Within, in your inner realms, if you can see an advanced civilization, what would beauty mean? That's what I'm telling you. The evolution of beauty is it's just like religion. Okay, in the same way people were like, yo, is this object God? Yo, is this subject God? Or yo, God is beyond any idol of worship. I'm starting to think that beauty is going to be similar, where it's not like someone is something specific in your moment is beautiful. The beauty is a quality of being. So that means the beauty surpasses to not just a beautiful life, but a beautiful being, in the way that how reality is being is beautiful, but the beauty is not limited on a surface level. It is harmony. It's like when two people laugh, that's a beautiful moment. So any moment can be beautiful. You can be beautiful person or an ugly person. You could still be like, there could be so many beautiful moments. So do never forget. And even from a metaphysical perspective, even though in Islam the soul is treated as the secret and command of God, do you know, man's beauty, it's like, as a Muslim you have this attitude that God is the original, we're in the simulated, and in the Holy Quran it says man is here to be a vicegerent, a khalifa. What does that mean? We are like that creation of God that has an intimate relationship, that has a intimate connection, inherent connection with God. And we are here to show the divine attributes of manifestation, express the divine attributes of manifestation to the lesser worlds. So it's not that just beauty has a role in the personal psyche of man, it's that man is an opportunity to be an expression of the attribute of divine beauty. So beauty is also the light of your soul. It is of the, it's like, if the soul is the shadow of God, the light of lights, eventually mankind will reach that moment where it will realize the beyond has always been beautiful. Thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all praise due to the Lord of the worlds. A'udhu billah shaitan rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Rabbi Firli, my Lord, forgive me for, my Lord, forgive me. My Lord, forgive my species and all of us for the sins that we're conscious and unconscious of doing. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. May the most advanced, or I should say it this way, may the most beautiful power guide us towards the most beautiful return to it. The story of life on Earth is a simulation returning to the original. If you remember the original now, a beautiful life seems to be the outcome. But to notice the higher power, that is next level beauty. Anyways, thank you for listening. Have a great day. Have a beautiful day.